Why is Miami losing in the postseason good for the Red Sox? What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Seat Radio. My name is Corbin, and no, this is not now an official Marlins channel. No, it's not an official Phillies channel. The reason this is good for the Red Sox, the reason why we should be a bit excited the Miami Marlins lost is because now the GM of the Miami Marlins is officially a free agent GM. She did not sign an extension with the Miami Marlins, and she's now kind of on the open market when it comes to a GM role in baseball, which could mean that Kim Ng is a possible candidate to take over the role of GM or head of baseball operations for the Red Sox. And in my opinion, she's one of the more underrated candidates on the board. So we're going to talk about in today's videos, we're going to break down who Kim Ng is, what her experience is, and how she could fit into the Boston Red Sox. We're going to talk about what a Kim Ng leadership role may look like for the Red Sox. We're also going to be talking about whether or not it's possible that Kim Ng comes to the Red Sox and whether or not this is even a good fit for this team. But before we get into that, do me a favor. Make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. Helps these videos out a lot and would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. For those of you who may not know, Kim Ng actually has a ton of experience in Major League Baseball. She started back in 1990 with the Chicago White Sox, where between 1990 and 1996, she worked her way up to becoming the Assistant Director of Baseball Operations. She left in 1997 to work with the offices of the American League as a director of waivers and records. Essentially, what she was doing for the American League offices was approving wire transactions. Guys like Brendan Bernardino, John Schreiber for the Red Sox are great examples of the transactions she was approving. After 1997, she was recruited by Brian Cashman to the New York Yankees, where she became the youngest assistant GM in the league at the time. And with the New York Yankees, she helped build that dynasty where they won, 3 different World Series in a row. After 2001, she moved to the Los Angeles Dodgers, where she spent a significant time. She spent between 2002 and 2011 as the assistant GM and senior vice president of the Los Angeles Dodgers. She actually interviewed to become the GM of the Dodgers in 2005. The Dodgers went another direction, but it goes to show just how prominent she was within the Dodgers organization during her time there. After 2011, she worked her way into the actual offices of Major League Baseball, where during that time she worked as the senior vice president of baseball operations, reporting directly to someone you guys may know in Joe Torre. Her job there was essentially to come in and really work with the direction of the game as a whole, not just one individual team. So Kim Ng has kind of been all over the place when it comes to experience in a front office. This was all before she took her current role as the GM of the Miami Marlins in November of 2020, making her the first woman to be a GM of a men's North American team in history. Pretty impressive stuff from Kim Ng. And that is where she has spent the last few years of her career as the head of essentially baseball operations for the Miami Marlins, serving as that GM role. So Kim Ng, experience-wise, is fantastic, right? She has experience in almost every facet of the game. She spent time essentially doing everything you could possibly do as a front office executive. She spent time with 2 big-time organizations, 2 big market organizations, and more importantly, she has won in a big market. She understands what it takes to win in a big market. So not only does she have the experience, but she also has the success as a front office executive. But what would she look like as a head of baseball operations for the Boston Red Sox? And what would be some things we could expect from a Kim Ng leadership role? I think when we're looking at what Kim Ng could look like as the head of baseball operations for the Red Sox, the most prominent thing that she has done as a true GM in Major League Baseball with the Miami Marlins is make fantastic trades, right? The Miami Marlins aren't a big market team, so they can't spend like a big market team, but what they can do is get creative with the trade market and really improve their team that way. And Kim has done an excellent job at that, and really is the biggest reason why the Miami Marlins were in the postseason in 2023. The Game 1 starter for the Miami Marlins this year was Jesus Luzardo, who was a trade package from the Oakland Athletics to the Miami Marlins back in 2021 that also included Brian De La Cruz, who was an integral part of the Miami offense going into the postseason. On top of that too, and both of those guys were traded for 2 players on expiring deals, who ended up not really being an impact player for the Oakland Athletics, which is absolutely fantastic. She essentially fleeced the Oakland Athletics for Jesus Luzardo and Brian De La Cruz. Tanner Scott has been an instrumental part to the Miami bullpen over the last couple of years. This is, again, another guy she acquired. Luis Arraez just won a batting title, and he was a trade piece for the Miami Marlins this season, where they sent Pablo Lopez to Minnesota in exchange for Luis Arraez. This, in my opinion, is one of the better trades she's ever made, right? Because Pablo Lopez is a really big piece. He's a guy who is essentially the ace of Minnesota Twins. He did really well in his postseason start, and on top of that too, he was a big-time player in the Miami Marlin rotation. She took a chance, and this is a trade that worked out for both sides. I absolutely loved this trade from Kim Ng. Also this season, she acquired both Jake Berger, who has a 130 OPS plus since being traded to the Miami Marlins, and Josh Bell, who has a 119 OPS plus since being traded. It feels like she has made all the right moves in terms of trades over the last couple of seasons, and it eventually built up to the team that we saw this season, a scrappy team that had fantastic pitching, and when they needed to, they had the offense to back them up, and it was the first playoff berth for the Miami Marlins in a very long time, and a lot of it is thanks to Kim Ng. A lot of the players absolutely love Kim Ng. They have a relationship with Kim Ng. Jazz Chisholm calls her Mama Ng. The manager of the Miami Marlins absolutely loves his relationship with Kim Ng. She's a people person, and she knows how to get the job done in terms of trade value. Now, like I said, there hasn't been a lot in terms of free agency to really dive into with Kim Ng, and I don't know if that's entirely her fault. The biggest contract she gave out during her time with the Miami Marlins was to one Jorge Soler, who has been absolutely fantastic for the Marlins this season, but overall is making $36 million over the course of 3 years, right? That's not exactly a big time contract, so that might be the one thing that could cause some hesitation with the Boston Red Sox, but that's where her experience becomes really important, right? Because she may have not had the backing of the Miami Marlins ownership to be able to go out there and give out a $200-300 million contract, but with the Boston Red Sox, she might be able to. With her experience of working with the Yankees, working with the Dodgers, seeing what it takes to be a successful big market team in Major League Baseball, working with Major League Baseball, working in the Chicago White Sox organization, right? There are a whole lot of different experiences throughout her lifetime that could lend to her being able to make that big move and be able to pull that trigger and use the checkbook that comes with a big market team like the Boston Red Sox successfully to improve your team for the future and for the current season. Overall, when we're looking at what Kim could do for the Boston Red Sox, I absolutely love it, right? The Red Sox, in terms of trading, are in an excellent position. They have a lot of young Major League ready talent. They have a lot of great talent in the minor leagues. They are sort of poised to be able to make big trades, and Kim has a great track record of being able to do that. On top of that, too, her experience, in my opinion, is something the Red Sox should absolutely be looking for, right? One of the bigger talking points of the offseason is whether or not the Red Sox are going to take a chance on someone who's never really filled this role before and see what they could do, or if they're going to go for a more experienced personnel and see if they could get someone in here who does know what they're doing. In my opinion, the latter makes more sense for where the Red Sox are, and Kim Ng has decades of experience in a front office of Major League Baseball, and now she has that experience of running an organization like she did as the GM for the Marlins. I think she could come in here and be sort of a perfect fit for what the Red Sox are looking for and be that person who could come in and turn this team around. But the big question here is whether or not any of this is possible and whether or not this fit makes sense at all. What's really interesting about whether or not it's possible Kim Ng comes over to the Red Sox is that Alex Spear of the Boston Globe actually released an article today talking about what some of the reservations are amongst baseball executives, where he sort of polled a bunch of baseball executives, and there were some commonalities in their reservations with the Red Sox. They said that the situation is absolutely fantastic, but when you're looking at the past, they believe that both Chaim Bloom and Dave Dombrowski were fired for doing the job that they were hired to do, which is causing some reservations, which again, I think is pretty obvious amongst Red Sox fans that this was going to be a bit of an issue, right? Essentially, over the last 3 different people to run this organization, it's been a presidential term. Longevity and job security are huge everywhere, obviously in Major League Baseball as well, and of course that's going to cause some reservations. The other thing is that Alex Cora's power within the organization and aspirations to be in the front office was considered a bit of an elephant in the room, which again, I think we already knew, right? The Red Sox choosing to go with Alex Cora and put their faith in Alex Cora and say, look, whoever's coming in here is working with Alex Cora is obviously going to be a big talking point when we're looking at the next head of baseball operations or GM. Now, I believe fully that there are 99% of candidates will be fine working with Alex Cora. I think he's one of the top 5 managers in Major League Baseball. I think a lot of GMs would be excited to work with Alex Cora, but obviously with the power he has and his aspirations in the front office, that's a big talking point. So those are 2 big roadblocks standing in the way of any single candidate coming to the Boston Red Sox. So with Kim, it would be whether or not she's comfortable with working with Alex Cora, and 2, what her longevity looks like, right? Can she be guaranteed to be here more than 4 years, especially if she's winning baseball games? So those are obviously the 2 biggest things. It's with every candidate, but we're talking about Kim specifically, which I would assume would be standing in the way, but that doesn't mean she's not an unlikely candidate. In fact, I think she's one of the more possible candidates on this list. She doesn't have any prior ties. She's a ton of experience, like I said, and she's got a track record of being really great with transactions, which might be exactly what the Red Sox are looking for. So either way, I think this is a name that's going to pop up a lot in the next couple of weeks. Someone we even see possibly being interviewed or making their way through interviews or rumored to be interviewed, right? This is someone who I think will be closely linked with the Red Sox until she either re-signs with the Marlins or goes somewhere else, possibly even the Boston Red Sox. And this is something I would be absolutely pumped about. But I want your opinion on this as well. Let me know in the comment section down below. What do you think about the possibility of Kim Ng? What do you think about her coming to the Red Sox? And what do you think she'd be able to do with the Red Sox? Plus, what do you think about Alex Spears' article today? What do you think about the consensus of the length of stay of a head of baseball operations? Let me know what you think about Alex Cora kind of being an elephant in the room. Let me know all your thoughts on the latest from the Red Sox GM search in the comment section down below. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor. Make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. Helps these videos out a ton, and it would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you in the red seats.